Good evening. Yes, good evening, Alabama fans. How are you doing today? And in the internet world, non-Alabama fans, anybody watching on the Joe Gaither Show or listening to us on the Joe Gaither Show, I am obviously Joe Gaither. You are the listener or the viewer. You're watching us on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter. You're listening to us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and on Amazon, anywhere that you get your podcast. You can tune us in, the Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral, and we are proud to be part of the BamaCentral Broadcasting Network. You may notice that we are doing our show a little bit later in the day today. Ooh, the sun is almost gone down here in Tuscaloosa. Right here downtown Northport. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. I had a nice little off day on BamaCentral, so enjoyed that. Thank you so much to my man Chris Walsh putting us on each and every day. I figured, you know what? I don't want to let a day go by without talking to you guys, my friends, my family, my fans. Love you guys so much. You can find me on the social media machines at Joe Gaither 6. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, YouTube, all the same handle, Joe Gaither 6. And we'll deal with your comments, questions, queries, and complaints right there. Appreciate everybody tuning us in. We're going to pick up our conversation that we had yesterday. My voice sounds about 2% better from Saturday night's extravaganza. And look, I still had an absolute blast. I want that to be really at the very forefront of the conversation. You're seeing numbers come out that the college football, the Alabama-Texas game averaged 8 million viewers and peaked right around 10 million viewers. It looks like it was the most viewed college football game since 2015. So that's what, 8 years, and I feel very, very, very privileged to have been there, to have been a part of the madness, to have been in the madness and really experienced it in person. If you guys got to experience it in person, you can jump into the comments and tell us how great a time you had. Maybe you can't get over the loss, but really the entire experience was beautiful, and so very, very thankful and grateful to be a part of that. Now, obviously, you want to have a victory. Yesterday, I was a little bit fired up, and I'll probably stay a little bit fired up. Not as fired up, but today will be a lot more football related, a lot more technical related. Yesterday was a lot of complaints about the crowd, complaints about the Alabama mentality, complaints about really the program as where we're standing. But today, let's move forward. It's Tuesday, September 12th, and Alabama's playing South Florida this weekend. We're still venturing to try to get a guest on from South Florida to tell us all about the Bulls. But we'll work through that. Tomorrow on the show, we will be having Roger Hoover from Crimson Side Sports Network. He's going to tell us all about how it's been working with Eli Gold since he's come back from his illness. I really, really appreciate that, and big thanks for him to join us tomorrow. But man, I'm still in the aftermath. I'm still in the afterglow of the Texas loss, and I still want to break it down. I think there's a lot of conversations to be had about the Texas matchup and about really the loss and Alabama's approach to the game and Alabama's really game plan throughout the game. So let's get right into it. I do want to tease you that later in the program, at the back end of the program, I have week number 2 of SEC Silly Sound on deck, ready for you guys. So if you put up with the ranting and raving, you'll get the fun at the end. SEC Silly Sound, week number 2. Who do you think our superstars are? We said goodbye to who do we not have this week that we had last week? No Kirby Smart. We have no Brian Kelly and no Billy Napier. We brought in Sam Pittman, and we brought in future SEC coach Steve Sarkisian, maybe future Alabama coach Steve Sarkisian. Oh, man. Let's see if I have I don't have my microphone selected to the right mic. That mic will help us a little bit better, sound a little bit better, 2% better. So we'll have SEC Silly Sound at the end of the program, 6.5 minutes of a lot of fun. And yeah, you're going to hear a lot of Nick Saban, a lot of dejected Nick Saban, a lot of defeated Nick Saban in that SEC Silly Sound. So let's talk about the Texas game, and let's talk about what we've heard so far in the last 2 days. First, Tyler Booker makes his every week appearance on the Next Round Live. If you guys are unfamiliar with the Next Round Live, they are former Birmingham radio show, 94.5, Jocks 94.5. They broke away, and now they do internet radio just like I do, and they do a great job. So they have Tyler Booker on once a week, Alabama offensive lineman, and Tyler Booker, oh my gosh, let out a scary narrative today. And it was backed up by Kool-Aid McKinstry. At the microphone today. So two veterans, two leaders on the Alabama Crimson Tide football team, both. Oh my gosh, this breaks my heart, and this makes me go back to yesterday's program and double it on down. Both guys saying, oh, we didn't have a good week of practice last week. Excuse me, what? We didn't have a good week of practice last week. It wasn't very focused. It wasn't very crisp. What? Excuse me? What? You're playing arguably the biggest game in Tuscaloosa in 13 years. You're playing the biggest game on your schedule right here on week number 2, and you didn't have a good practice? That's what you're going with today? You didn't have a good week of practice? I'm sorry. I know there was a lot of hoopla last week. There was a ton of hoopla. College Game Day came into town, and obviously they get here about Wednesday, Thursday. Those guys prepare. You had Pat McAfee show. Those guys came Wednesday, Thursday as well. You had Barstool Sports and their college football podcast came, and obviously they're huge. It literally was the who's who of media building the game up. SEC Nation, Marty and McGee, everybody was in town. So, of course, you did feel the magnitude. And it was easy to feel even right here from downtown Northport. And anytime you drove through the week last week, it was easy to feel. But you didn't have a good week of practice? Oh, are you kidding me? Oh my, are you kidding me? That is what we're going to go with. So yesterday's program was basically wondering where we have fallen, where Alabama's fallen from the Bama standard. And so you're going to tell me that Coach Saban? Oh, Coach, that's a bad look. That's a bad look, man. That is a bad look. You're going to have your two veterans, one on the offensive line, one in the secondary, basically your superstar in the secondary, Kool-Aid McKinstry, say we didn't have a very good week of practice. We weren't very focused. Let me pull your transcript so I have it exactly right. I don't want to confuse my guy's transcript here. Kool-Aid McKinstry. All right, here we go. On preparation and practice energy before the Texas game, his quote is, and I quote, "I feel like we could have been better in practice, preparing and working together as a defense, communicating on the back end, making sure everybody has the right adjustments. I feel like guys, even including me, can ask questions to coaches, ask questions to players just to make sure that we better understand what we have going on." Oh my gosh. I mean, look, that's absurd. That's an absurd take we're only going to get up against probably, save for Josh Heupel, probably one of the top 2 offensive minds on your schedule. Josh Heupel, maybe you throw Brian Kelly in there, but golly, he's had a bad little look. It's Sarkisian, Josh Heupel. 1A, 1B, 2 offensive geniuses, and you guys weren't prepared. You guys weren't clear. You guys didn't have, and it was obvious. It was clear. You looked through the Twitter thread that I put together. You busted several coverages on the back end. Many times people not passing the ball, passing the routes off. Look, the Coach Saban mindset, the Coach Saban defense is a pattern matching defense. It's a very kind of amoeba-like defense that makes it very challenging on opposing quarterbacks. If the switches get switched correctly. You saw right off the bat in the first drive, the 4th and 2 that they converted. You have the out route from the third from number 3. You have the slant from number 1. You have the streak from number 2. 1 and 3 cross each other over, and boom, Caleb Downs, Terry and Arnold don't switch 1 and 3, and boom, it's wide open. It's an easy pass for Quinn Ewers, and it's a first down. Are we confused on the switches? Are we confused on the banjo concept? Come on, this is ridiculous. It is ridiculous to say. It's ridiculous to say. Oh, we just didn't have all the communication quite down. And I know you got Caleb Downs in the back end, brand new freshman. I know that. And he will be a good player. I do believe that he's going to end up being a great player probably, 6 games down the line.
but you don't have a good practice. You're not communicating well, and you're not sitting there as a fivesome, as a foursome, as a sixsome, as a, hey guys, we're all the DBs. Do you understand what we're doing on this route? Do you understand what you're doing when they line up in this formation? What's the problem? Why? Why are you? Oh my gosh, it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. Let's see. Question. Right out of my man James, my cousin, really enjoying the emotional Bama fan. Here we go. This is why coaches say useless things in press conferences when they tell the truth. It doesn't sound good. Sure, that's fine, but I'd rather have the truth. I would rather have the truth than the hooey, than the BS. And we'll hear a lot of BS later in the program. Let me make sure I have everything dialed up. Yeah, I do. Okay, good. Let me see if I can get Tyler Booker's quote. Tyler Booker next round live, because I read it earlier today, but I don't want to. Yeah. 6 hours ago from my man Nick Kelly, quoting him. He said the energy wasn't where we needed to be. Last week, we didn't practice the best by any means on either side of the ball. We're going to have a different attitude coming into practice today because we've seen what happens when we don't practice to the Bama standard. We're very excited to practice today. Dude, too late. Too late. Like he goes on and says, we took winning for granted like we did last year. We beat Middle Tennessee, and we just had to bring a different energy level and a different level of focus. There was an energy and there was a focus, but it wasn't where it needed to be. Hello, Tyler, too late. I'm sorry. What, you're going to refocus for South Florida? Dude, you guys can beat South Florida with your eyes closed. I'm sorry. You can't get up for your biggest game? I mean, look. I did enjoy the Middle Tennessee game. I thought there was a lot of good things that happened in the MTSU game that could carry over if it continued, but it didn't continue. And you guys are wanting to say, "Oh, well, we thought we had it. We thought we were feeling ourselves since you beat Middle Tennessee. They're going to be fourth in Conference USA. They might be third in Conference USA. They're going to have, okay, great. We're going to watch them in the Bahamas Bowl. Great. And that's going to be great for all the Middle fans. And awesome. Go Blue Raiders." What? And we're going to judge ourselves against, MTSU? You're going to judge yourselves and say, "Oh, we're good. We beat Texas by 1 point last year, so we're going to beat them this year when they come at home." Hello, did you watch the Texas film from last year? You get a changed opinion, and really it was an opinion. Like, people can talk about the safety and the back end with Bryce Young, but it's an opinion. Was Bryce down? Was he not? Was it intentional grounding in the end zone? Was it not? Obviously, the refs decided that it was not. But it could have easily been a yes. It could have easily been a safety. Boom, 2 points, we lose. What do we do? You're going to say, "Oh, we got this"? Burnt Auburn goes down the field at the end of the game and misses a field goal. What if he makes it? Last year's Texas game gave you confidence that we're going to win. You're going to roll right in here and win. You have a bad week of practice. I'm sorry. I know all the sorority girls were hyped we're beautiful and hyped and excited, and all the parties in town and all the post-game parties and post-game plans were laid out for you. But you got to win. You know what we did after the game? I walked down the spiral, walked to the car, and drove my butt home. Well, rode home. I rode home with some friends. No partying, no late night bars, no excitement, no hoopla. We sat around the living room watching college football final, commiserating about how poorly our guys played. And you want to, you weren't ready for it? Oh, it's embarrassing. That's an embarrassing take. And it goes back to, yesterday. It goes back to yesterday's conversation right here.
Everybody would like to be successful. Everybody's not willing to do the things you need to do to be successful. We had one speaker come here and showed the biggest tiger I've ever seen. Took up the whole screen. And he said, everybody wants to be the beast, but everybody don't want to do what the beast do. So if you want to be the beast, you got to do what the beast do.
And coach has used that line his entire career here at Alabama. But you just, you've been talking all summer about Bama Standard, about reclaiming. I don't believe you anymore. I don't even believe that you know what the Bama Standard is. I'm sorry, I don't. And I want to believe you. I want to cheer for you, and I will cheer for you. I continue to support you. But You clearly have gotten lost in the sauce. Does anyone on the roster know what the Bama standard even means? Because really, what it means is treating every day like it's your last, and treating every day like you're going to operate at your highest level, whether you're playing MTSU or Texas. And like, okay, I can understand we had a bad week of practice on MTSU week. Maybe in November when UTC is on the schedule. When UTC is on the schedule, maybe you can, focus on your final exams instead. But I mean, Auburn's on the schedule the next week. Come on, like you don't get up for the Texas game. You don't practice hard. We're taking it lightly. We're taking the Longhorn. I mean, it obviously looked that way. The Longhorns came in here and punked you. They came in here and basically owned both sides of the line of scrimmage, and were not challenged really physically in any way. And then mentally, Sark was running circles around you. Sark was running circles around the defense, honestly. And I am still in my same state of, ooh, man, I don't know if this is trending in the right direction. I talked to some people yesterday, and I said, I find it very poetic. I find it very poetic that you go through the early parts of the Saban era, and you go out to Texas and you beat Colt McCoy out in the Rose Bowl, and Mac Brown, coaching legend, and obviously the everything that Texas meant at that time and still means today. But you beat Texas and you started the Saban dynasty right there. Did we watch it go full circles? Did we watch it go, 13, 14 years of dominance, and now it's full circle, and Texas comes to town, and Texas steals your soul and basically exposes you as, honestly, right now, as frauds. And what does it look? You want to go over to Athens and ask them how they practiced this past week for Ball Bleeping State, for UT Martin the week prior? Kirby Smart is having those guys literally kill each other. Oh, we don't care who the opponent is. And look, this is not a Georgia jealousy factor, but it's the difference. Kirby, I watched all the post-game press conferences. He's not in this week's silly sound. But what he said was, I think we might have had the best week of practice that we've had in 5 years here in Athens. For Ball State? That's the difference. That's the difference right there. Georgia currently doesn't care who's on the schedule. I know everybody looking at the Georgia schedule. It is soft. It is baby butt soft. It is, but they don't care who's on the schedule. They're going to go out there and beat them like a drum if they can. They don't care. It doesn't matter that they're playing Ball State. You can play Ball State or the Baltimore Ravens. It doesn't matter. They're going to practice their tails off and be ready with a game plan and execute that game plan at a very high level. It's absolutely embarrassing. It's flabbergasting. And yes, right there, only frauds to those who thought Bama was a contender. Many didn't think that. Well, many did think that. And quarterback race deep into August, James, no, it's not a big red flag if you paid attention to Alabama's history under Nick Saban. We've had several quarterback races deep into August that went into a national championship season. Kirk Herbstreit thought Alabama was going to win the national title. Josh Pate thought Alabama was going to win the national title. Like, really educated football minds picked Alabama to win a national title. I don't really agree with your point. But what it does say is you are frauds. You are fraudulent because you thought you were going to be back to the Bama standard. And look in the mirror. You are frauds because for not practicing well with against Texas. Yeah, what? The biggest home game in 13 years, and we're just not going to practice well? We're going to let the hoopla, we're going to let our press clippings. I mean, it took 1 week for the rat poison to affect you. What? It took 1 week against MTSU. It wasn't even a quality win. It was the second best win in the conference because nobody else in the conference played anybody any good and won. LSU lost. They're down the list. Florida lost on the road. South Carolina. The 3 teams that played quality opponents week 1 lost. Okay, Tennessee, you beat Virginia. All right, you win. That's the best week 1 win. Alabama beating MTSU, really, in my opinion, was the second best week 1 win. And so you read your press clippings. We had a nice win. No, it's not. We're not going to judge ourselves against MTSU? Unbelievable. All right, so what do you do? What do you do now? Really? as we said, we've got dominated along the offensive line. Seth McLaughlin and Darian Dalcourt looked pretty poor. I know Caden Proctor struggled a little bit. He did. But Caden Proctor is going to be a man. He's going to be a manimal. He's going to be an absolute stud, and I really do believe that he is still your answer at left tackle. But your problem is along the interior. You can't let pressure come into Jalen Milroe's lap, because here's the deal, guys. It ain't going to be Tyler Buckner for a minute, and it ain't going to be Ty Simpson for a minute. If it were going to be Tyler Buckner or Ty Simpson, they would have gotten into the game on Saturday. That's the difference. You want to talk about, it's time for a quarterback switch. It's time for a quarterback switch. I'm sitting up there in the stands with my binoculars looking to see if any of the quarterbacks are warming up. None of them are even warming up. They all got their helmets on the daggum bench. They're all, pretty boys with their clean jerseys. Helmets are on the bench. Nobody's calling on them to warm up because that's how far it is. That's the gap. And why is the gap that far? Probably because the offensive line is so porous that you need the best athlete behind the offensive line to be mobile enough to move around and to make some plays when things break down. But come on. Darian Dalcourt, Seth McLaughlin, y'all got whipped. And I understand you're going to look better this week against South Florida. But, Coach, look, we don't need to be playing this loyalty game any longer. Darian Dalcourt, he's an 8th-year senior. Seth McLaughlin, he's a senior as well. I know his mother made you homemade oatmeal cream pies when you went to go visit them in Buford, Georgia. And Seth really kind of started the Buford to Alabama current pipeline. Isaiah Bond and Justice Haynes right behind him, and Jake Pope right behind him. And look, they're good kids, I'm sure. Smart kids, I know. But Darian Dalcourt, his hips are high as a skyscraper. I mean, he's a tall guy, but his hips are very, very high, and he doesn't drive off the football. Coach Saban on the Monday press conference basically saying, I don't think we were very strong setting. We were too weak setting. Why? Because Darian Dalcourt doesn't use his lower half. He just catches and lets people push him back. Look, whether it's a discipline issue, a technique issue, I don't want to get down into my stance, whatever the case may be, I'm sorry. I'm out. I'm out on Dalcourt. And Seth, step number 1 for a center is snapping the ball in the same place every time. I don't care what you're doing this week. I don't care about your classes this week. Doesn't matter. Go back into a dormitory where you have a nice long hallway and snap it down the hallway 1.5 billion times. There's no excuses for inerrant snaps. And people talk about, they played the 2 best interior linemen that they're going to play all year. Well, what happens if Alabama makes a playoff run? Do you think Alabama's going to go up against weak interior linemen? You think Alabama is going to go up against weak, interior linemen that just play like MTSU? No. You're going to see another team like a Texas. You're going to see a Georgia. You're going to see a USC with Bear Alexander. You're going to see a quality team with a quality front. So, yeah, we're going to probably dominate the USF defensive line. You're probably going to beat them pretty handily. And everybody's going to say, look, you don't want to play an angry Alabama. And I'm not going to buy any second of it. I'm not going to buy a single second of it. Because in 2 weeks, Ole Miss comes to town. And, Ole Miss doesn't have the same level of athletes of Texas, but they're going to play with a lot of desperation. They're going to play to win. They're not going to play afraid. And so, Coach, here's the deal. Coach, you throughout fall camp, you said, we have 7 or 8 starters along the offensive line. Okay. If that's the truth, and we'll just take it for face value, if that's the truth, then why didn't we see a single other player on the offensive line? We have 7 or 8 starting caliber players along the offensive line. That's a group we feel really confident in. Okay. So I asked him, I said, on Monday, you talked about having 7 or 8 offensive linemen that you have confidence in. Did you ever consider making any moves? And he said, no. What? How do you watch that game in the middle? That's my issue. Is Coach is so damn stubborn right now. How do you watch that game and think, you know what? Seth's getting his butt kicked. He's snapping it all over the place. Or Darian Dalcourt's getting their butt kicked. He's not getting any push. He's basically a turnstile at the guard position. So maybe we need to throw TJ Ferguson out there. Maybe we need to make some adjustments and throw Elijah Pritchett out there. Maybe you throw Jaden Roberts out there. I don't know if Jaden Roberts is that 8th guy, but I know for a fact TJ Ferguson and Elijah Pritchett are your 6th and 7th guy. And he said, well, no, it's a combination of believing in the guys that you have out there and the guys that are on the bench not proving themselves, not earning the trust in practice. Well, hello, then you don't have 7 or 8 pro. Like, I'm sorry, all that hooey you said in fall camp is just hooey. You don't have 7 or 8 starting caliber offensive linemen then. You either do or you don't. You want to watch Georgia. You want to watch some of these teams that are playing at a high level right now. You know what they do? They play a lot of players. Alabama, under Nick Saban, has really since, I don't know, this is a total guess, but it feels like about 2015 or so, Alabama has really scaled back who they're playing. Oh, look, I've got my dog fired up. She's chewing on some papers. Yeah, Alabama's really scaled back who they've been playing. Look at what, of course, Arkansas is not the standard, but Arkansas this past weekend played about 9 offensive linemen. What did Sam Pittman say after the game? Well, we're trying to find the 9. We're trying to find the 5 best linemen out there. We're trying to find out who wants to play. I'm trying to find more than 22 starters on both sides of the ball. He's trying to develop for the future. What's Kirby do? Kirby throws, he talks about starting defense or whatever. Kirby's starting defense is probably 25, 30 guys long because he just throws them out there. He says, oh, you know what? It's time for you to go get some reps. And if you mess up, you know what? It's live reps. It's live on tape. Coach, I'd love to see a little more rotation along the lines, on both the lines. I know that, you flip to the defensive side. I know that you got guys like James Smith and Quay Russaw that are brand new freshmen, and you probably got to learn the system and, make the right call. But, dude, throw them out there. If you're not getting pressure with 4, if you're not getting pressure with 3, and you are just dead set on not blitzing, then you need to just use more guys or different guys. And if Billy's not getting it done, then Johnny might. It's too stubborn. It's too stubborn, really, in the personnel game. It's too stubborn in the personnel department, especially up front. And so I think that really hurt us. I think it really hurt Alabama on Saturday night. So what do? You go in this weekend, and I say you play against South Florida, and you utilize TJ Ferguson. You utilize Elijah Pritchett. You throw some of these offensive linemen out there. You throw out Brockermeyer, the Brockermeyer kid. Yes, he's still undersized, but you throw the Brockermeyer kid at center. See if he can snap the ball. Now, I'm no football expert. That's what I would do. The next thing I would do offensively is tailor a game plan around Jalen Milroe. This ain't Bryce Young. This ain't Tua Tagovailoa. It's a little closer to Jalen Hurts. Yeah, do you remember the Jalen Hurts game plan? Do you have all those playbooks? Call Mike Locksley and get them back. Say, hey, Mike, can you fax me all those Jalen Hurts plays? Like, seriously. Tailor an offense around Jalen Milroe. If it's not going to be Tyler Buckner and it's not going to be Ty Simpson, which clearly it's not because you didn't turn to him when lots of the offense wasn't operating at a high level. Clearly it's not going to be, and that's fine. I like Jalen Milroe. I think he's a hell of an athlete. He's already completed 7 deep passes down the field. How many did Bryce Young complete last year? 12 throughout the entirety of the season. Air yards, Jalen Milroe can get it down the field. Jalen Milroe can light it up, shoot that bomb way up in the sky, and let it fall right down into Jermaine Burton's hands, fall right down into Amari Niblack's hands, fall right down into Malik Benson's hands. But you got to develop the running game. Give me some quarterback power. Get me under center. If Seth is struggling, if Seth can't snap the ball, or if he's struggling with somebody right in front of his face, and that's why he's having errant snaps, get right under center. I know it's not cool to stick your hands right under a man's rear end anymore. Blah, 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 whatever. Well, change something. The stubbornness is the most concerning part. The stubbornness with the game plan is really the most troubling part, both offensively and defensively. You look on the defensive side of the ball, we're just going to play coverage. We're going to play coverage. We're going to rush on third down. You don't think Steve Sarkisian was looked over all your big games and remembers all the times you thought, we can get home with 3, we can get home with 4, we're just going to play coverage. He knew that was coming. He knew that was coming. Josh Heupel knew it was coming last year against Tennessee, and both of them just slice and dice, cut it right up, made it look pretty pedestrian. Oh gosh, it's the stubbornness. And I know, Coach, you're a defensive genius, but we got to get creative. We got to get after that. We have to manufacture pressure. If you're not going to get pressure with 3 or 4, if Dallas Turner's not going to be able to get home, if Chris Braswell's not going to be able to get home, then bring in Deontay Lawson. Oh my gosh, Deontay Lawson had such a bad game. I bet Deontay Lawson had a bad day on Monday watching the film, and I hope that he really felt embarrassed when he watched himself on film, because he did poor in pass coverage. He was not physical. He was not physical up front. Like, tough night for Deontay Lawson, and a player who I really, really like, honestly. And then you didn't really get anything out of your second linebacker. Trezmen Marshall out of Georgia. Look, if Georgia's letting somebody walk out the door, you better believe that Kirby knows, this guy's got an issue. It took us, look, Jermaine Burton, he's played well over the last 2 games, but last season he was a punk. Jermaine Burton was a punk, an inconsistent punk last season. This year, he seems much more mature, and maybe it took a lot of coaching. Maybe it took a lot of buy-in. Maybe it took realizing, I had a bad year, and I made kind of a fool of myself last season. Pushing that girl in Tennessee, dropping balls against Texas. It wasn't really a factor with this Alabama wide receiver room last year. If Kirby's letting a guy walk out the door, you got to know that they've got to have extra love. And Trezmen Marshall, through 2 games, has been very, very unimpressive to me. Very, very unimpressive. Give me a little Kendrick Blackshire. Give me a little Jihad Campbell. I know Jihad is coming off a knee scope, so that's why he really wasn't a factor in the first 2 games. But let's find another interior backer. That's another place where throw guys out there, let them make a play, let them prove themselves. You got to be a little more relaxed with your I don't trust guys out there, so they're not going to go into a game. You know what? Sometimes you just got to take a risk and say, well, Billy's not getting it done. I know Johnny hasn't really, popped in practice, but maybe Johnny's a gamer. Throw them out there and see what happens. If they mess up for a couple snaps, pull them right back off. That's the luxury. This isn't soccer where you have to allocate your substitutions, just 3 or 4 substitutions, depending on whatever level or whatever division of soccer you're looking at. Like, this isn't soccer. You can go on and off, on and off. You can figure it out. Hey, Billy, you did poorly on these plays. Here's what you saw. Here's what you should have done. Now go back out there and do it again. We got to be a little more flexible. We got to be a lot more aggressive on both the offensive and defensive line. All right, so there's my Ty Simpson. There's my offensive line take. There's my bad week of practice take. I do want to give a little credit. To our special teams, the Alabama special teamers. Billy Reichert went 8 points. The 52-yard field goal was huge. Very consistent. We love you, Will Reichert. Thanks for coming back to school. And James Byrant, his improvement over 3 years has been impressive, especially for a guy who never kicked in a game, high school, middle school, any game, until he got to the capstone and kicked right here for the University of Alabama, punted for the University of Alabama. So James Byrant and Will Reichert, maybe the most consistent players on the field on Saturday night. And yes, special teams are special, and it's very important, but you definitely need you can't have your kicker and punter be your most consistent players on the field, and they were on Saturday. So really disappointing as an effort for the team. What are you doing, dog? What are you doing? Really disappointing to have the kicker and punter basically be your most consistent players. You got to get more consistency out of the rest of the team. Now, let's talk about those are the blitz packages, adjustments. I did that. I did higher rotations a little bit. Throw more offensive linemen out there. See who wants to be mean. See who wants to embrace the suck a little bit. You got the big problem right now with Alabama. I think you have lost the embracing of the suck, embracing of the hard. Yes, it was 114 degrees here in Tuscaloosa through fall camp, but did you embrace it, or were you just hoping and praying that coach would send you guys into the indoor facility? I know it was dangerously hot, but you just got to kind of embrace it sometimes. And just, I felt like I feel like Alabama has really shied away from the hard worker mentality and really thought, we're Alabama, you guys should fall right down and bow to us. And Texas wasn't afraid. Texas was not afraid one little bit. Obviously, both the uniforms are classic, but Texas had no fear. No fear of the Alabama uniform, especially after last year's game. Well, you have 17 penalties last year. You had 10 in this game. Just absolutely abysmal performance, and really just it. Honestly, I'm sorry. It falls under you, Nick Saban. It all falls under coaching. Coach talks about, oh, well, we've repped penalties our entire offseason. And great. You come out against MTSU and you only commit, 2 penalties the whole game, one on special teams and one on defense. And both of them are kind of effort penalties. You're going to accept that a little bit. And then, okay, you think, yeah, we did really good. And then Texas comes to town and you go from 2 to 10. And 3 or 4 of them are procedural variety. 3 or 4 of them are stupid, linemen downfield. A couple of them are pass interferences down the field. And you could talk about being questionable calls or not. They were called. Terry Arnold put himself in a position to get those calls called on himself. And golly. The mirror should be right in front of your face, Alabama football. And Coach Saban, look, the mirror needs to be right in front of your face as well, because there's some disconnect. And I don't want to hear this. The players, the generation is not good enough. The generations, the new kids, you can't coach them very hard. Kirby's coaching them hard. Kirby is literally coaching them hard. I promise you. You hear him every day. I played the expletive-laden rant yesterday on the show. Kirby is in all of his players' faces when he wants to or when he needs to be. I'm sorry, you're gonna have to ramp it up on these guys, and you're gonna have to put some real consequences out there. Some real consequences for mental errors. Some real consequences for. And look, I don't care. I would much rather you put Billy 3-star out there who will give his all, who will work his tail off, and really, embrace the suck and have some pride in the uniform, have some pride in the actual Bama standard of every day I'm going to work, not just when you're playing against MTSU. I wonder how those guys spent the week if they didn't practice very hard. How many parties they went to, how many interviews that they did, and this, that, and I don't know. But there's something lacking. There's some communication. There's some directive. There's some disconnect from the coaching staff to the players. And Coach, 2 weeks ago said, "Oh, I don't know if these guys have the talent." That was Coach B, but he said he complimented their work ethic. He complimented the players' work ethic and complimented their work through fall camp. Did you just decide to beat MTSU and think, well, we made it, we arrived? One game before you ate the rat poison? Awful, 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 and really concerning. Because, look, you're going to beat South Florida this week. We're all going to have a fun time. It's going to be 2:30 in the afternoon. You'll be able to, look, if you want to go run some errands, you can come back at 5 o'clock and see the score at 45-10 and think, oh, everything is hunky-dory. But no, Ole Miss is coming to town. Tennessee's coming to town. LSU's coming to town. You're going out to Texas A&M. You're going to Auburn. Several dangerous games left on the schedule if the Alabama Crimson Tide team does not pick it up. Now, can they? Sure, they can. But just as really embarrassing in my opinion to say we weren't focused. We didn't have a great week of practice last week. All right. What to do about the offensive line? A bad week of performance, blitz packages, great special teams, higher rotation. All right, we hit all those, and you guys are watching us on BamaCentral, on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter. You're listening to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon. My dog is going crazy underneath me. It's been a great start to the week so far. I want to hit 2 other topics outside of the game, but really a part of the game. As my lights go off, got to click the lights off. Hey, doggy, you're turning everything off there. Yeah, good girl. You're being crazy. 2 more topics and just a highlight for the later in the week. All right, let's go and play this video. Awful, disgusting video. Be forewarned, there is definitely racism in this video. I have censored the homophobia in this video, but I want to talk about these Alabama fans.
You guys are all go back to the project. Go back to the project. Go back to the project. Let's go!
Oh gosh, that makes my blood boil because I wanted I wanted Bryant-Denny Stadium to be a hostile environment, but not like that, not in that fashion, and not when the game is clearly over. The weakest of the weak, the most ignorant of the ignorant, the most abhorrent of the abhorrent. I'm sorry, it's an absolutely despicable move to walk down to the Texas sidelines when those fellas are celebrating their win that they won on the field and to shout racist epithets and to shout homophobic language at them. All right. I don't really care about the F words. Say the 4-letter F word all you want, but there's no reason to use the homophobic F word. You don't know anything about these people, and even if you did, it's still inappropriate. There were many times where I used the 4-letter F word out of frustration up in the top of the Bryant-Denny Stadium. But really, you don't yell at the Texas people. You don't yell at the Texas fans. You don't yell at the Texas players. And look, do I think the dances are a little silly? Sure, but they earned the right to dance. They won. They earned the right to dance. And you give everybody a bad name because what happens on social media, that video travels around many, 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 many times, and everybody sees it and they think same old Alabama, same old racist Alabama. Oh man, same old homophobic Alabama. Absolutely disgusting behavior from the fans. And honestly, look here. Let me find the statement because the statement University of Alabama gave a statement. They gave a statement to the Austin American Statesman. Our man Danny Davis of the Austin American Statesman reached out to Alabama for a response, and the quote is as follows: "We are disgusted by reports of vile language and inappropriate behavior on Saturday night. To be clear, we condemn this behavior and it will not be tolerated in our venues. It is not representative of UA and our values. We expect all our attendees to act with class and respect towards others. Fans are strongly encouraged to report issues to our security resources on site. Game day and delayed reports are appropriately addressed, and anyone found to be in violation of our rules and expectations will be promptly removed and may be banned from future events." You gave Alabama, you chose that moment in defeat instead of saying, you know what, Austin fans, Texas fans, you know what, Longhorns, y'all came a long way. Shake your hand and walk out of the stadium. I mean, literally, that was my move. Turn to the Texas fan that was right behind me celebrating. Congratulations, have a safe trip home. And I walked out of the stadium a little disgusted after. You don't yell. First, you're losing. You're a loser. It goes back to yesterday. Every time they showed the video board, it was little sorority girls going, "Horns down, horns down," when literally Alabama's losing. Like, I'm sorry, you're losing. You don't do the horns down when you're losing. That's hey, we have just beaten you. Hey, the game is basically over. This is in your face. Like, you don't do it all day Saturday, all week through the week. Basically invite, I mean, it's straight up bulletin board material in that factor, but it's disrespectful. And look, you got to wait till you win to be a little disrespectful. When you lose, shut up, be quiet, be graceful. Say, you know what, Texas, y'all played a great game. You played a nice game. Good job. Sark is a genius. You beat us tonight. Great. Enjoy it. Hope you have a good year. We're going to try to get things back on track. But instead, you go to the sidelines, and not only do you yell at the Texas fans, probably for the first time all night, or the Texas players, probably for the first time all night, because you've been on Instagram and TikTok and all kinds of other places, on Snapchat the whole night, in the stands, planning your next bar trip, planning your next party. No, you're going to go down there like, "Oh, I'm drunk," and you're going to say, "Bleep you, go back." First off, you don't know anything about these guys. You don't know anything about these fellas. Not a single thing. You don't know where they come from. You don't know about their family background. You don't know about their sexual orientation. Every single bit of this 16 seconds is absolutely inappropriate. It's absolutely inappropriate, and you give every single Alabama fan a bad name. Every Alabama fan that doesn't do that has to answer for you. And so Greg Byrne, Stuart Bell, the response to the Austin American Statesman is fine, is good. It's a good statement. But what you do here is you find out whose video that is. You find out whose video that is, and you start banning people from the stadium for life. Get out of here with that trash. Get out of here with that trash. Go watch it in your living room. If you're going to use that language, you better stay your butt at home. Stay your butt at home and don't make a fool out of the University of Alabama. Don't make a fool out of the Alabama fans. And I'm sorry, yeah, you get a lot of people go, well, those guys clearly aren't Southern. You can hear it in their accent. They're transplants. They're from the out-of-state students. Who cares? Who cares if they're from Chicago, New York, California, wherever, and they just want to be turds? Who cares? It gives every one of us a bad name. Oh, absolutely.
You guys are all go back to the projects. Go back to the projects. Go back to the projects. Let's go.
So you, instead of, you're yelling at the Texas people, and you're not using 1 ounce of creativity. You're not using one ounce of intelligence. Like I understand yelling at the opponent. I think there's a time and a place for that, but there's a line as well. You don't go back to the projects. What a terrible line. And 1, absolutely racist and inappropriate. But 2, it's dumb. It's dumb because most of those guys, let me tell you, a lot of those guys are not going to go back to the projects. They're going to the NFL. They're going to the NFL. They're going to make something of themselves. They're in college. It's a terrible line. It's a terrible line on multiple levels. And then to use homophobic language, I mean, come on. Whether I don't care how anybody feels about homosexuality, LGBT plus, that's not really anything I want to debate at all. But the fact of the matter is, using language like that is incredibly ignorant, incredibly inappropriate. It shows your tail in it shows your rear end in such a huge fashion. So basically, instead of using, go back to the projects and homophobic language, you should have just mooned them. You should have just turned around, pulled your pants down, and showed your pasty white butt, your pasty white college butt, and just gotten yourself kicked out of the game that way. And honestly, Greg Byrne, please, you're a smart man. You're a good man. Stuart Bell, you're a smart man. You know that there's no place for this. And you know this based off the statement that you made to the Austin American Statesman. There's no place for this at all. On our campus, in our stadiums, both for Alabama or against Alabama. Even when Auburn comes to town, even when LSU or Texas comes to town or Tennessee comes to town, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who it is as the opponent. That's not the way you act as an Alabama fan. And so Greg Byrne and Stuart Bell, please use every resource available and ban those young men, ban those old men, ban whoever they are for life. I'm sorry, you don't get to come back from that. You're not representing Alabama in a great way. And then to have the ignorance and stupidity to put it on film and send it out into social media, thinking this makes us look cool. Look what I told the Texas boys. Look what I told the Texas fellas. You're an idiot. You're an absolute fool. You're not only incredibly racist, incredibly homophobic, which there's no place for either. None. Zero tolerance. But you're also incredibly, you use a third layer of lack of judgment by filming it and putting it online to send to your frat boy buddies or to send to whoever you are, to send to whoever you want to say, look what I did, send it into your group chat and try to get your accolades. And I bet you if they had, you did real good, you told them, I'm sorry, there's a digital footprint behind that video, and you say, well, Johnny, that's your video. You're banned for life. Who else was with you? Whose other voices are? And if Johnny doesn't give it up, well, that you did what you can do. You need to find whose video that is. Follow the digital footprint that has no place in Bryant-Denny Stadium, has no place in our fan base, and really in our society as a whole. Like, I understand good competition. That's not that. Good competition is yelling Roll Tide for 60 minutes and trying to, on third down really loud and clapping really loud and singing Dixieland Delight really loud. It's not using homophobic and racist language. I'm sorry, it's absolutely not. No place for that. Ban them for life. from all, not just Bryant-Denny Stadium, ban them for life from all Alabama sporting events. Because you already know the reputation you have as Alabama people. You already know the reputation. Oh, you kiss your cousins. Oh, you're all racist. Oh, you're all, way conservative. And it's fine if you're conservative. Perfectly fine. But, there's no reason. There's no reason at all in any place in our society, even in Bryant-Denny Stadium, to use language and rhetoric in that fashion. So I hope Greg Byrne and Stuart Bell, you do end up banning them for life. All right, so last topic on the football side of things, and it involves Amari Niblack. It involves Amari Niblack going on to Instagram Live after the ball game, and going on to Instagram Live after the ball game and doing a little dance. They're playing. He's playing whatever music he's playing on his phone. I have no idea what the rapper or who the artist was that he was playing. I saw many comments like, "Oh, he's playing X rapper. He's cool, yada yada." And Amari Niblack calls over someone and says, "Hey, look, I got 170 views right now. I got 170 people watching me right now." You got a lot of Alabama fans taking him to task. You got a lot of Alabama fans taking him, "Oh, you shouldn't be dancing. You shouldn't be." And I find myself with mixed feelings because, look, should he be suicidal after the game? No. My man scored a touchdown. He tried hard. He played for 60 minutes. I don't know that the loss was on Amari Niblack, but I do think there is a lack of judgment shown from Amari Niblack. Now, he's a young kid. He's, I think, a redshirt freshman. So that's going to be a learning moment for him. But I do think that there is a little bit of a lack of judgment shown when Amari Niblack jumps onto Instagram Live and does his dance and calls someone over and says, "Hey, look, I got 170 views right now." 100 and look, I look at my views and I think it's cool whenever it gets to a nice number. But geez, just a lack of judgment. Yes, he was just being a kid. Exactly right. He had scored a touchdown. He's not what do you want him to do? Go right up to the film room and start breaking it down? He's literally getting undressed. He's taking pads off. He's trying to cool down. And look, some people deal with losses different ways. Some people deal with losses in different ways. So Amari Niblack, I don't have a real issue with that, but maybe with Alabama fans, you got to think of how sensitive the entire bunch is, especially after a loss. Would you stop that? Yeah, would you stop, please? You got to think of how sensitive they are, especially after a loss. So they're going to receive that in a terrible, terrible fashion, and thus call you, "Oh, he doesn't care. Look, it's all NIL." I don't think NIL has anything to do with this. I don't think entitlement has anything to do, NIL entitlement has anything to do with it. I think that maybe the leadership from the very top down has lost the plot on what it means and what the work level is and how hard you need to be pushing these young men to get them to the place where you need to get them to. All right, I got one more topic. It's not football related, and then we'll play SEC Silly Sound and get out of here for the day. I thank everybody for watching us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, on listening to us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Amazon. Of course, we're a proud part of the BamaCentral Broadcasting Network. We'll be dropping a new episode of Blue Collar Unplugged pretty soon. Our man Blake Byler, Jacob Pickle, and Matthew Gibson talking all things Alabama basketball. We're 58 days away or so from Alabama basketball tipping off November 7th. But the topic I want to talk about next, real quick topic, is throwing at you on Thursday night. Come out to the Alabama Soccer Complex. Come out to the Alabama Soccer Complex, if for no other reason than to yell at the Georgia Bulldogs. Alabama Soccer is opening up SEC play on Thursday against your favorite SEC foe, the Georgia Bulldogs. And our ladies are the defending SEC champions, going undefeated last season, and really off to a pretty good start, going 5-0-3 this year. No losses, 3 ties, and they just tied the number 3 team in the country, North Carolina, 1-1. Nice little game on Sunday. So get out to the Alabama Soccer Complex on Thursday as our ladies open up SEC play. It's going to be really important to support them. Yes, it is a little bit of a different team, but the expectations are still high for Coach Wes Hart's team. You can watch our interview with Wes Hart on an earlier program on any of the platforms I just mentioned. I'm venturing to get a couple Alabama soccer players on the program pretty soon. Stephanie Withy helping me out with that. But really just want to encourage you to be thinking about your plans on Thursday evening. I don't know who's playing Thursday night football in college or in the NFL off the top of my head, but you'll have a lot more fun out there at Alabama Soccer Complex. Free tickets, free. You can walk right in, right there, 558. You'll be out of there by 7:30. You'll get home in time for dinner, and everybody can go to bed at a decent time, and you can yell Roll Tide. And really, right now, they're the most successful team on campus competing. Sorry, Alabama football. You're once again the second year in a row behind Alabama football, Alabama women's soccer. Disgusting. On Sunday night, Gianna Paul, after her goal, we talked to Gianna Paul, and what did she tell me? I wish I had clipped this. I should have clipped this. She said, I would have died before not getting that in the goal. I'm sorry, what? She says, I would have died before not getting that in the goal. And that's what's lacking in this Alabama football program. Go over to the Alabama Soccer Complex and watch these ladies play. Draw some inspiration. Now, the guys will already be in Orlando or on their way to South Florida for that matchup. Sure. Tampa, I believe. But Gianna Paul giving you, I would have died before not getting that ball into the goal. It was an ugly, gritty goal, the goal that she worked for. A goal that she stuck with. She stuck with a rebound and really just hammered it into the goal. It wasn't pretty. But Gianna Paul leaving it all out there for the Tide, representing the Alabama A in a first-class fashion. And this homegirl's from New York. She says, I would have died before not getting that ball into the goal. Can we not get that attitude into the Alabama football program? All right, I'm going to answer one question, and then we are going to play SEC Silly Sound. My man Cameron Rossi chiming in question, how many players on the current team dreamed of playing for Bama since they could ever lace up the pads? Thank you so much for the compliment at the end. I think this narrative is a little bit overblown because of how long Coach Saban's been dominating. I mean, right now, you think about NFL franchises, and there's 4 or 5 great franchises that have dominated over the course of my lifetime. And if you ask players, of course, I want to go play for the Patriots. I want to play for the 49ers. I want to play for, the Cowboys, great level franchises. Play for the Packers, play for a top-end franchises. I think Coach has built a program where Alabama is that top-end franchise. A lot of these players born, early 2000s, right? 2002 puts you at 21 or so. And so if you're born in 02, you're 7 or 8 years old, 6 or 7 years old. My math is not my strong suit when Alabama takes off and wins their first national championship. So they've watched the standard over the course of their young lives. I think that, yes, there is an argument to be made about taking more players out of the state of Alabama. And if you look in this year's recruiting class, you see a lot of 3-star players from the state of Alabama. Red Morgan, William Sanders. I think Sterling Dixon's a 4-star player, but you see him kind of on either end. You see what's the young man that you just got out of Patrician Academy? I'll lose his name in just a second. But basically, you're getting a lot of players out of the state of Alabama in this year's class. Jalen Mbakwe, you're getting Isaiah Faga. So you're getting a lot of players out of the state of Alabama in this class. And I think in the next class, the 2025s, the Ryan Williams class has a ton of talent in the state of Alabama. And so there's a little something to be said for that. But I think the standard that Alabama has created over the course of 15 years has permeated through the minds of most young athletes nationwide. You look at Julian Sayin coming in next year, 5-star player out of California, has basically seen the Bryce Youngs, the Jalen Hurts, the Mac Jones. He's basically said, I want to go to a quarterback factory, and he's not going to USC anymore. Like, it's moved away. And I think Alabama has basically enabled a standard and kind of, become that dream school for a lot of people, even if they're from the state of Alabama or not. So there's my answer to that. All right, let's get out of here for the day. Let's play something fun. We're going to play SEC Silly Sound to get ourselves out of the day and try to make ourselves finish on a laugh.
First off, I commend Tulane. That's a really good team that played really hard. And
I think this is our first win ever.
They were very physical.
This was a test for everybody.
I know how hard they play.
There was no quit in us.
It was a test for the coaches.
Isn't a game funny?
Our fans are special.
It was a test for me.
It's hard to win college football games.
It's a heck of a team win.
It was a test for all the players.
You know, the game plan was going exactly like they wanted it to go.
I'm really so proud of our kids.
They did things they had to do.
And we obviously didn't do very well.
Minus scoring a lot of points.
And our guys played hard and did a good job.
You know, we didn't play very well today.
We can all get better.
We shot ourselves in the foot.
We've got a lot to get better at. I'm sure you'll ask me about it.
Hopefully you guys don't ask me about it for a
I
while.
like doing things that are first.
You guys, you got some questions.
You can throw in the towel and quit.
And I know sometimes it sounds like coach speak.
And Lane does it all the time. Guys do it all the time. Hell, I don't.
Or you can fight and grind and
Just long enough, things go your way some half, and sometimes they don't.
With their backs against the wall.
We made plays in all three phases, but we gave plays up in all three phases.
And Lane does it all the time. Guys do it all the time. Hell, I don't.
you don't want to waste a failing.
Okay.
Our guys fought their tails off
We're all going to be committed to trying to do things better, practice better.
and see where we are.
If everything went the wrong way, so let's not freak out. And
I love your comments, man.
You found a way to win, and we can grow from that.
Prepare better, have a better plan.
Not smart.
Then our guys played real hard.
He's got something to him.
And it all starts with me, and I obviously let our team down.
I'd like to think so.
I believe in these players.
We didn't kill ourselves.
Early, we couldn't throw it, we couldn't catch it, and couldn't run it.
These players have worked hard.
I love these guys.
Well, I love them.
Oh my gosh, come on, man. I was blown away. Honestly, I had no clue. And I told our team, and I mean this, that don't happen most places.
I love our kids.
So these people here mean a lot to me.
There was a great atmosphere in the stadium tonight. I appreciate the fans, and they did their part for sure.
I love the locker room.
It starts with me.
You know I'm not giving any more.
Getting pressure on the quarterback was big.
You know, a lot of those sacks were four-man rushes.
I'm trying to figure out who our best linemen are.
Really big sacks.
They had some pressure and brought some heat on him.
One of them, I think, was a three-man rush.
We're just not blocking particularly well, period.
That was a really big sack.
We had a lot of sacks and things of that nature.
We didn't get any pressure on their quarterback.
I don't know what happened.
5, 6, 7 guys.
We didn't affect him at all.
Basically, I thought we were getting outstrained, outwanted to.
His feet got a little kind of choppy in the pocket.
Thought he did a great job of keeping the game alive.
So we didn't do a very good job.
It was better, but it still wasn't good.
You know, we just got to do better.
We got 10 more regular season games to play.
Something different happened just about on each one of those.
We jump a little bit.
We held the ball.
That ball was getting out.
They did a good job of matching the patterns.
Some guys doing some things right.
I did.
I can tell you the analytics say to go for it. The Samalytics says don't.
And but we never ever discussed it.
No, that kind of stuff's private.
I ain't worried about expected. We got to worry about next week.
We're just going to work to try to get all our players better.
We can get better the next week, and the next.
Well, we didn't do a very good job.
That's why recruiting is important.
Early and often. I think early he kicked good and often he kicked good.
Why did we play good tonight?
Bear, Mike, A, or
6, 8, 4, 5.
or Saw, and Zero, and
I mean, it's a lot of technical stuff.
And I would not schematical.
What's the difference in an O lineman and a freaking D lineman?
We need more pressure.
But can't let people throw the ball over your head.
that just doesn't happen.
We're going to be aggressive tonight, and we were going to stay aggressive.
That's a good question.
Ground come out from under him, and
Those kinds of things put you behind the eight ball and off.
We luck out on some things too.
So
they were bringing and more guys than you could block.
put you behind in sticks is
That's way past my bedtime.
one play at a time. Your brain doesn't work like it needs to.
Just listen.
The ball is such a huge thing.
At home right now, it's 103. Is that right?
Bad things happen.
Still kept bringing extra guys.
What a night he had.
Bleed the clock.
Finishing the game with the ball in our hands.
So
I don't know how many possessions we got in the second half.
I can't really answer that.
No, yeah, I know.
We kind of killed every one of them.
Probably a better question to ask him.
I should have answered it just like that.
I don't have any details on it.
He's
but
You have to try to win the game.
I don't really think
We'll have to look at it and see what the reason was.
he was into it.
You know,
So
I think he tried a little too hard.
we think that he could be that guy.
griping and complaining or poor mouthing.
he certainly didn't get the poor me.
We needed him to play with Pooh being out too.
Played his tail off.
He was competing like crazy.
Are they made of the right stuff?
I wasn't that crazy. He catches everything.
Thought he looked rusty though.
We had a chance.
And
The guy can catch.
So anyway,
Life kind of goes full circle.
He made some Tesla catches.
I can't answer that till I see it on film. Guys played their tails off.
We had a good package.
all were explosive plays.
We give up some deep balls.
Went right down.
How far we've come.
They clapped.
Hard for Auburn.
That's the feast or famine of blitz.
And
Feast or famine.
so they took a lot of shots.
I wouldn't have guessed the numbers were going to look like they did today.
We knew they would take shots.
He's done that.
We had some guys with arms around him, and we come back and forth. It goes back and forth.
But we didn't make that happen. A couple times not good.
It's football.
And
We can improve so much.
I'm not concerned about BYU.
We got to fix those things and move on.
so I don't think we did a good job of that.
Didn't feel great, obviously.
There was a great atmosphere out there.
I owe everything to him.
I was blown away. Honestly, I had no clue.
You know, our fans did a tremendous job. We appreciate the support. It was fantastic.
That was really big.
This ain't gonna get it.
It is what it is.
Oh shoot.
We really appreciate it. Thank you.
I can't remember what your question was, but did I answer it?